Good evening. Welcome, everyone. This is our special council meeting for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Appreciate you all being here this evening. We're going to lead with our invocation. Mr. Kessler.
Thank you, Lord, for all of us get together today to be safe. Bless us on our decisions we make. And it's all for you, Lord. We definitely need you more. Thanks for blessing us yesterday for the prayer visual at the high school. In your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in these.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Silva, would you please call the roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Nina Roddenroth.
Here.
Vice Mayor Christine Thompson. Here. Councilman Tony Brown.
Here.
Councilman Elston Kessler.
Here.
Councilman Dan Lewandowski.
Here.
All present, Madam Mayor.
Thank
They're
you.
working tonight.
Yeah, they are.
They're bouncing off the walls, it sounds like. Do we have any public comments?
No, ma'am, nobody has turned in a public comment for our meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, the first action item, is our budget ordinance 2024-609. I will entertain a motion to read ordinance 2024-609 by title. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to read amendments. To read the budget.
Second. So comment, I do not agree with this budget as it's written.
Well,
And-
hold on, do you want me to read the title first?
He's got to read the title.
Okay.
So ordinance 2024-609, an ordinance for the purpose of adopting a final budget for the city of Keystone Heights, Florida for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, and providing an effective date. Even though you already had public comment, you have to open a public hearing for the millage and for the budget.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm looking at what's here on my list, and this is pertaining to the millage and budget.
Right, so if you'll start where it says this public hearing, you read that part.
Okay. This public hearing is to present the proposed millage and budget of the City of Keystone Heights to the public for comment, questions, and review to make changes if desired by the City Council. The process for budget adoption is detailed precisely in the Florida statutes, and we must comply with those directives. The very first order of business is to discuss the proposed millage, the rollback millage rate, and the reasons for the increase in ad valorem tax revenues. I will turn now this discussion over to our city manager to make certain we meet all required communications.
The name of the taxing authority is the City of Keystone Heights, Florida. The City Council's proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 reflects a millage rate of 4.2901. That millage can be compared to the current millage rate, which is 4.2901, and the rollback millage rate, which is 3.9512. The rollback rate is a calculation which brings the same tax dollars next year as for this year, excluding new construction, additions, deletions, annexations, and improvements. I am required by state statute to state the percent of the proposed millage compared to the rollback rate. The proposed rate is a 10.43% increase over the rollback rate. The city's overall proposed budget is $2,936,858.28 as a total, and breaks down as follows. General fund $1,497,050. Cemetery, $50,000. Airport, $1,359,808.28. And Community Redevelopment Agency of $30,000. The budget increase proposed for this year is directly attributed to the cost of increased supplies, materials, and services. The budget reflects the draft budget reviewed by the City Council, which is being presented today, September 3rd, 2024, at the public hearing, and will be presented for a second reading for hearing and adoption on September 16th, 2024.
We will now open the public hearing on the tentative millage. Public can speak and ask questions.
Open the public hearing.
Cavill?
So, and Mayor, I'm sorry, we need to have two separate ordinances, one for the budget and one for millage,
Okay.
which I don't see. So I'm trying to fix that right this second.
Okay.
We're gonna read that title in just a minute. So it would help if we read, and Madam Clerk, I believe the next ordinance number would be 610?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I can read that by title, it's ordinance number 2024-610. An ordinance of the City of Keystone Heights levying the ad valorem property tax millage rate for municipal purposes on all taxable value within the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, stating the percentage by which the millage to be levied exceeds the rollback rate, providing an effective date. And now if there's any public comment from public hearing, and then you can go into council discussion.
Madam Mayor, I see nobody from the public who would wish to address you.
Yes.
Council.
Right. Does anyone have any questions or conversation? Council?
I am in favor of the rollback rate of 3.9512. We still have a large surplus of around $140,000 with the rollback rate. Our standings, asset-wise versus expenses-wise, is very favorable. If this city were in financial difficulty, I might think otherwise, but I don't see the need to increase our taxes by more than 10% on our citizens by holding at 4.29%. Because that's what they would pay. They'd pay more than 10% more cash-wise in taxes if we hold at that millage.
What would that, does anybody have a number on what that would come out per year for
So-
the residents?
I think, Charlie, you gave us that last
Yes.
Is
last
that what
week.
this is?
It's about $40,000 less in income.
Yes.
Thank you. I didn't bring it.
So I had Mr. Wright break that down for me a little further. So this is an average, just simply taking the 685 taxable parcels in the Keystone Heights city limits and dividing it into the difference between 4.2901 and the rollback rate of 3.95, and you come up with $39,525. If you divide 685 into that, everybody's property bill is different. That's an average on those 685 parcels of $57 and change. I'm not advocating for it one way or another, but the direction the council motion and I think a 4-1 vote was to advertise at 4.901, so that's how we got to where we are tonight.
Haven't we had the current millage rate? How many years have we had that?
At least since I've been here.
Yes, it's
It's
been,
been over a decade.
It's
Yes.
been quite a,
4.29?
yes.
it's been quite a while. When I
Yes.
looked at the history on it as well. And I'm pretty sure that Mr. Wright did have some of that info for us.
And
It's been several years, consistently at that number.
And I'm not trying to sway how the council votes one way or another, but just keep in mind that part of what happens is there's the increase in the property values, but there's also increase in the goods and services that you buy. So, for example, like we just did the demolition of the old China shop. The demolition on that a couple of years ago would have been $10,000. Now we're looking at 30. So your cost of goods and services goes up too. It's not just that. So some councils and commissions will look for something between the rollback rate that at least accounts for inflation.
Well, our budget with the rollback rate still has around $140,000 more in income than revenue or than expenses. So if we go with the rollback, we still are in really good shape.
I have a question that's down here under item 3, and it kind of, to me, with the budget, it says Florida Retirement System buyback option. I know we're going to discuss that in a little bit, but we're looking probably, I don't know how many dollars we're looking at doing that. Is that going to,
It's not gonna kill your budget, but I would rather kind of finish where we are. You have some funds that could be drawn into to pay for that if you so
Okay.
desire.
all right.
Any more comments about the millage rate discussion? My biggest concern about the rollback, and I'm always all about if we can save our residents' taxes, is what if we had to increase it down the road? It's always easy to sit here and say, okay, well, let's roll it back and give them the benefit of $57 more per year in taxes, because that's what he just said, $57 per household. And yet we're looking at another $40,000 that the city gives up. But what I worry about is the perception. We're increasing the millage rate from 3.89 to 4.2. And the outcry from the community saying they increased our taxes, right? That's my biggest concern of making that decision. It's really not so much about the money. And I personally feel that it's probably not the best decision. I think we have a very good mill rate. It's been that for at least 10 years as far as I remember when I did my research. And I think the consistency and the fact that we've been able to maintain it is quite impressive. There's a lot of towns who are not able to do that. And plus we have a really nice, as you can see, the budget's very healthy. And yes, we have money. Like Dan just said, you know, we've got all this money, but we're getting ready to spend some money for the first time in a while. Close to $400,000 right now before the end of the year for some things in the city that have been asked for quite a while. That's just my opinion on the rollback.
So I also did some research on 30 cities, plus or minus 15 cities population-wise larger than us, and the 15 cities population-wise smaller than us. And I looked at what their millage rate was, and then I averaged those millage rates. And the average was somewhere around, I don't remember, it was 4.1 or 4.2. So we're at 4.29. Is that really much larger than the average? And the answer is statistically no. It's within, you know, common, plus or minus 5%, no problem. And so compared to the other cities, a 4.29 is just fine. But we are a little bit on the high side. I just don't see why we're asking for more money when we don't need it. There is no projection for this need. None. There's no project. We have no strategic plan. There is no reason to ask for this extra $40,000. We've got all pay raises covered. We've got all the projects we have planned covered, and we have plenty of money in the bank. To me, it sounds like we're greedy. We're saving for a rainy day Well, we're saving for 10 hurricanes is what we're saving for. We already got a rainy day covered. Just my opinion.
Any other comments?
I'd like to say one more thing, Mayor. I respect your opinion, and I appreciate your opinion. It's hard to come back up. Like the mayor said, it is hard to come back up. It was being a part of where we were at 10 years ago, and even further back then, when we were in almost a panic mode. And this is why we do have the money. And I think the good Lord above, we had some men in this community and women that came up and formed a committee and helped us figure it out, because they were number people. And so I think, yes, we are healthy, but you never know when you're not going to be healthy. And I'm for, keeping it the way it is. And maybe, things change next year, maybe, you guys can go down.
How much money do we have to have in the bank for it to go down? $1 million, $2 million, $3 million?
But just keep in mind, a lot of the money that you're talking about is encumbered, or they're part of an enterprise fund, or they're part of the CRA fund, or they were part of
We
funds
have
that were committed.
so much money. And we don't even have plans for it.
At one point, you did have plans for a capital improvement project, so it depends on what the priorities of the council are and kind of what you want to do going forward.
Last check, just our checking accounts is $2.4 million. Our CD accounts is another $740,000. We have $3.15 million in cash assets. How much do we have to have before we'll reduce the rate? 5 million? All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. Probably said too much already.
Any other comments? Okay. So I want to close the public hearing, and then I want to entertain a motion for approval. And that is for the millage rate to retain at the 4 point.
Someone can make a motion for a different rate.
Okay, well, I'll try it. What the heck? I move that the city of Keystone Heights implement a millage rate of 3.9512. Let's see what happens. Will anyone even second it?
Councilman, so I have to make sure I got that number right. You said 3.952.
No, 3.5912.
Thank you.
That's the rollback rate.
All right, no second, it dies.
Can we get a second?
A second motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
What are we voting on?
So the motion is,
There were 3 votes to vote for the rollback rate.
The rollback rate is 3.9512.
No.
And that's 1 no, 2 no's.
So it fails. So just so we're clear as to what happened. So the ordinance that we read, that I read the second title for, was for the millage. So effectively, when you made a motion, you're making a motion to amend the ordinance that we have. Now, just remember, we're going to read the tentative, you're setting the tentative millage today, and then you're setting the final millage on the 9th. So you're amending the ordinance to 3.9, whatever the rollback was.
4.9512, I believe.
512.
Okay, it's not done yet, it can change still.
You have a much harder time going up than coming down.
No, what I'm saying is, it's not set for next year until we finally approve it on September 16th. Right. So it
I'm
can
sorry.
still change.
When is, because you said September,
he said September.
I said 16.
even though that says, okay.
It's the 16th though, right, Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, not final until the second reading.
Okay.
So now, we can't actually adjourn the hearing, but now you have a slightly different position where now you have to present a budget that matches that rollback rate.
So literally, the only thing that will change in your budget, if you guys are comfortable making a pen and ink change, is the very first item on your income of your budget, based on the current rate, is $418,210. That would be your ad valorem property tax. That was what your rate generated. So now, if you go back to this sheet, at the bottom, the rollback rate of 3.9512, that very first line in your budget under ad valorem tax is now going to be $378,685. That still leaves us with a budget surplus in the budget you have in front of you. It's just now that budget surplus is $39,525 less.
Right.
Now you
39 what?
$39,525 less. So can they then move to adopt the budget with that?
Well,
Going through?
I know, I should have,
Or set it tentatively, you're not adopting it tonight?
there was just one item that I would also like to amend on this budget, if I might suggest. And that is, in the past, our Country Day took care of the fireworks for the July 4th celebration, and the city has taken that over now, and I don't see any money in the budget to help defray or pay the cost of fireworks and our culture and recreation under festivals and events. And
So we will have to hold till we get to the budget part of it, I think.
okay,
Because we're doing-
We are at the budget part.
We are now?
So
Okay.
what needs to happen is that first title that I read, we now need to, again, have a motion to read by title. A second.
to read by title only the budget, please.
Because I know you separated it.
And we need a second.
By law, you have to separate millage and budget from your documents.
Right. Okay.
So there needs a second.
I'll second.
So ordinance number 2024-609, an ordinance for the purpose of adopting the final budget for the city of Keystone Heights, Florida for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, and providing an effective date. And even though that title says final budget, it's because that's the one that you're going to be adopting at the next meeting.
Okay, and last meeting, Tony was great, pointing out that we need to celebrate the centennial celebration next year. And I don't know if you meant for fireworks to be included in that $20,000 or not, but if not, then we need some money added, I think, to support the July 4th celebration.
Where is that in the budget, Charlie?
So if you go to your second page, item 572501 starts your festivals and events operating expenses.
Yep.
So I went back in and added the cost of 6 bands at $1,500 per band, so that you could have the bands, food truck Friday, concert kind of things we've discussed. And I went back and added in to the personnel services and security some more money to cover the cost of extra off-duty sheriff's office deputies for security. And then I went back in, not knowing, I've not thrown parties at this scale before. So I beefed up the materials and supply number to $50,000. That's different from the budget I gave you a couple of weeks ago.
3,000 before.
Right. So, I'd love to be more precise, and a year from now, I think I could be much, much more precise. I would point out to you, as Councilman Lewandowski has pointed out, that as of the 31st of July, you still have over $700,000 in your general funds checking. So you're going to have an amount right around that on October 1st that is in addition, that's just in your checking account, in addition to the $1.6 million of income. So I feel certain if you want to shoot fireworks on the 4th of July and the centennial, that we will be fine. We can't like come up with a dozen big ticket items, but
Right.
that one I can get with our CPA. Evidently, I get my hand slapped if I make up numbers in here, the line items, and come up with a line and break out fireworks and show you where that's going to come out of if you would like that for your final budget adoption. And have hopefully a fireworks line under festivals and events.
It was zero.
The item that we're talking about, that you just pointed out about the Centennial, 574-100, that 20,000 is what the city gave.
I put that
You
in
put that
based
in.
on y'all's discussion last
Correct,
time.
correct. And I would like, we have people here tonight that are involved in that celebration. Would they be okay to talk to us about it? Would that be okay?
Yeah. Are we in the public hearing part of the budget?
Yeah.
You are?
Okay. Somebody would like
Would somebody like to come up and tell us about the Centennial?
So you just heard what we're doing. We're going to provide $20,000 to
Yes.
Friends of Keystone for next year to support the ongoing efforts that you all are planning.
So let me introduce myself. My name is Joe Baker, and I'm a member of Friends of Keystone Heights. And as you know, we are doing the Centennial, and we're doing it on December the 28th at the airport. It's going to be from 12 to 3. Will be a family day. There'll be food trucks. There will be bounce houses. And it's going to be very family friendly. Then, and Steve Hart, his band will be playing from 12 to 3. Then Duval County Line will be coming back on. I know that's a favorite of yours. They will be coming on and playing from 5 to 9. Now with the gala, we've got four restaurants that are being represented. I took the liberty of doing some research and checking on what it's going to cost to get this done. A little more expensive than what I thought it was going to be, but I have an itemized breakdown of everything that the company will be providing. A 50 by 90 tent for the food. There will be 2 bars in it. They will be putting tables, chairs, all the linen, all the dishware, silverware. The bar itself will be a cash bar. There will be 2 tents, one for the band, one for the food. We're selling tickets, individual tickets. I don't know that we've solidified what we're going to charge yet, have we?
It's still a little fluid.
Okay, so what we're talking about is $100 per person, $175 per couple. That's to participate in the food and for the music and whatnot. There will be a band tent that will be covering the band so that, who knows, December 28th could be pretty chilly. So to be temperature controlled both inside the food tent and inside the band tent. We got the band for $2,500, which was a good price, especially being New Year's Eve, because you can pretty much count on everything being doubled. Now, this was what got me. I didn't really know what to expect when it came to how much this was all going to come down to. When I got the quote back from her, this is from Beachview Event Rentals and Design. They're out of Jacksonville in South Georgia. Everything totaled came up to $24,704. I know. So what I'm thinking there's some things on here that maybe we don't have to have things quite as nice as they need to be. Either that, or I'm gonna get on my hands and knees in front of Mr. Lewandowski and go, please let me have some of that money you're talking about. But $24,704 pays for this. It doesn't pay for fireworks. It doesn't pay for anything else further on down the year. Now we are doing fundraising. We're selling T-shirts. We're selling calendars, coins, and we are trying to raise money the best way we can. The $20,000 coming from you guys is a godsend. Thank you so much for that, because there's no way we could meet what we're trying to do without your help. So we greatly appreciate that. Love this guy.
We all voted for it.
Love this guy. All right.
Well, maybe there's a way to get some other quotes on the tents. I want to say we used those folks for wedding up there in Jacksonville years ago. But there might be some other ways to get some, cheaper quotes on the tents, or maybe fewer.
Okay. I looked around. This was the only company that I could find that could do something of this size.
That you're trying to do.
How many people can you accommodate?
Okay, the 50 by 90 tent for the food is, that was $4,900 for that. Of course, the patio heaters, there would be 24 60-inch, that's 5 foot around, round tables, and each table has 8 chairs. The tables themselves come up to $270. There's banquet tables. There's going to be 10 banquet tables, 8 for food, 2 for the bar. Those only come to $110. There's things in here like the lighting that I thought at first this was a great idea until I look at it now, and it's 3 chandeliers, which, believe it or not, were cheaper than doing track lighting. Still came out to $1,965. So I can present this to you guys. You guys can look at it.
Would council like me to make 5 copies of this document?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question to Counselor. With us giving a lump sum of money, are we just writing a check for this amount of money, or are we, like we've done in our country day, they have different things that we would, as a council, would approve, and it would come back in here and we write a check for that. They bring us the invoice. We never said that, did we?
No, we didn't say that.
So,
I would prefer it being that way, I think.
I'm of the understanding Friends of Keystone has their own checking account, that's right? So I
So
would
we could just,
write them one check and let them write
We
the-
did say one thing. We did say that they would have to come to us with the plan, and we'd have to say, yeah, that's okay, you can use the money for that.
Right.
Well, we talked about it. I don't think they had to, but
Well-
I actually said that I would like to see what the plans were, so I'm glad they're here.
Joe and I talked last week,
Yes.
and I asked him for this. And the other thing that I asked, which he got pinned down with the kickoff, is they're going to do things over 12 months.
That's correct.
Right, but
So-
this is our kickoff for the celebration
Right.
for the year. So we really For fireworks, I mean, we can't do fireworks.
Can you just come up, because people watch online, they can't hear you if you're over there.
We can't do fireworks at the airport, so we won't be doing fireworks but we'll definitely want them for the centennial, the 2025, like, at the end of the year, like we would normally do, I guess, or for the 4th of July.
4th of July, right?
4th of July. But that's all we need the fireworks for. But we would definitely be able to give you itemized of everything that we would need to, like purchasing for the band, for the tables, for the, because we'll need security as well. We're hoping to get some lighting from, hopefully, Bradford. I don't know if they'll be able to help us with that. You know, parking. I mean, there's a ton of things that so I mean, anything, if you need more descriptions of everything that we're gonna need, we'll be more than happy to help you with that one. Just let us know when you need it.
Well, for your parking,
Thank you,
lighting,
Stephanie.
You could go through Bradford, get with George, send me that. And
Right, I mean, with a
Yeah,
cost.
Clay County will provide, I mean,
Right.
they have in the past,
Yep,
lighting that you could light that whole place up.
Mm-hmm.
For underneath the canopies and stuff like that, track lighting, the chandelier, you'd have to buy those or rent them or whatever.
yeah, we have to rent them. And then the same thing for Clay. Clay will also be, because
Right.
they want to be
Part of it.
part of it as well.
Is, question, have y'all checked out anybody in Gainesville for banquet stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't find anything.
Really? Okay.
If you guys have a contact, we'd be more than happy to.
Well,
I'll, check around.
I knew there was someone here in town that went to one of the Clay Chamber of Business meetings that said he did tables and chairs, but I don't know who that person actually
Chamber of
was.
Commerce might give us some folks.
I could get with Chamber
John
of
and them.
Gainesville
Okay.
and see.
Yeah, we'd love to have, whatever resources
We'll
we
see
could
if we
get.
can cut that price down a little bit. Give me a week or two.
So you said per person was how much, Joe?
Per person was $100, per couple was $175.
Okay, and that $100, what does that include per person?
All that
You ticket to get in, the food, not the alcohol though, right?
No,
Not
okay,
the
so it's
cash bar.
entry and the food,
And the
and
entertainment.
the entertainment,
And
gotcha.
the entertainment.
Okay,
So I would like to ask, and I know it makes it more complicated for you, and I apologize, but the city residents pay taxes, and tax money is supporting this. And so it would really be nice if we can give a resident a break, a slightly cheaper price, or cause a non-resident to pay a little more. I hear it from residents all the time. What benefit do I have for living inside the city limits? I don't get a break on anything. And finally, we got a break for renting the pavilion. That's the first time we've really given our citizens any benefit.
How do you verify that? Do you verify that with their driver's license?
So that could be done a couple ways. You could have, I don't know who's going to sell tickets, but we could provide them with a list of city resident addresses. And then all they do is just flip through and verify it.
Okay.
I don't know, there's probably other ways too.
let me jump on this real quick, I don't want to put any more work on staff, but if you could put out there, if you're a city resident, you can come in here and buy your tickets. And then that way you can prove that.
Good idea.
But we're not going to get in the game of selling tickets like we do 4th of July. It would strictly be, we put it out there on our website, on our sign, that it would be city residents come here to buy their tickets for the gala.
And my second idea is, we originally had $3,000 in our budget for materials and supplies. And we now have $50,000 for materials and supplies. So, through the city manager, we could ask you to send the bill to us for certain things. And then we pay that bill and you don't have to worry about it. Because we got a lot of money in the budget for next year. A lot of money.
So if we accidentally extend it over to like the 22.5,
I don't know how the rest of the council feels, so that's just an idea.
Yeah. Well, Keystone turns 100 how many times?
I
Right.
agree, I agree.
You know, and I
And we
really.
wanted to make it a huge celebration, and it is for the city of
Yes,
Keystone
it
Heights.
is.
I
Yes,
have
it
a feeling
is.
you're
And
gonna sell
I
out.
definitely.
I just did 24 tables times 8 people a table, that's 192 tickets. I have a feeling you're gonna sell out. There's gonna be people wanting tickets and there's gonna be none available.
I pray to God you're right.
Same
think
here,
so.
for sure.
Well, we did the mayor's ball a couple times.
That-
It was a
that
big
was-
thing. It was a dress-up kind of thing.
It was.
Is it gonna be dressy or just
You know, I mean,
come as you are?
I think we probably would have somewhat of a dress code,
Yeah.
but not be required to wear
It's outside.
gowns
It'll be outside.
and, you know,
Thank you.
Yeah.
your
Especially
tuxedo,
at the
because not everybody has a tuxedo, not everybody has a gown. We want everybody to enjoy the celebration and not have to go and spend a ton
Right.
of money just to dress up to get in.
Yeah.
There'll still be people who dress up though.
I'm wearing my good shorts.
Your sequin shorts? I was gonna ask if the press
He
was
was gonna wear
gonna
his
do that.
cufflinks, his bow tie, and no shirt.
Okay, let's
Don't
see.
get me.
Thank you very much.
All right, let me figure out where we are. I'm lost again now.
Well, we're during the public hearing portion of the budget adoption.
Okay.
Once you're done with the public hearing, then you can close and have any sort of council discussion. There needs to be a motion to attempt to approve the tentative budget, and then you'll have to read all the correct minutes.
Okay. So I can close the public hearing, correct? Just trying to be sure I'm in order here. So can I call for a motion by council for approval?
I make a motion, we accept the budget
As amended.
as amended.
I second.
Any discussion?
Clarify here, the two amendments I'm tracking is the millage rate, we're going all the way to the rollback rate, and I've told you what number that produces. And,
So that was part of the last ordinance. This one is just the budget now.
right, so the budgeted amount changes, as I stated earlier, from 418 whatever to 378 whatever. And then I'm going back into the budget under the second page, festivals and events, the 574, 100, 200, 300, and gonna add a separate line item for fireworks that I'll get an accurate price if I want to be able to shoot fireworks twice in the next calendar year? Only once?
Once.
July
Okay.
4th.
July 4th.
Okay. So I'll break that number out from everything else. Okay, and those are the two amendments I have that I understand you're voting
Right.
to adopt.
Can
And you seconded it, right?
Yes, sir.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir.
She did?
Yes, I did.
Can I get a vote?
Aye.
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 Aye, 5-0. Okay. Now, next on our list is the council member participation in the FRS program. This is the Florida Retirement System program. And Charlie, were you going to talk to this?
Madam Mayor and council and public, if you are you talking about 2A?
I know, I'm talking about 2B.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, 2C.
Oh,
We haven't
2C?
done B yet, have we?
Okay, well, for
We're not gonna do
2B,
B.
I need to, okay.
We're
Good,
gonna
he
do
already
B.
talked to you about it, I was gonna apologize to council and
We're going to
community.
Yeah,
It
we'll
shouldn't
talk
go
about
there.
B next week, is what I was told. Right. So we're just talking about C, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So you've had one reading on a FRS ordinance. You'll have the second reading on September 9th to put your city employees under the Florida retirement system. You, as a council, are paid out of the same municipal funds, and you, as city council members, are eligible to be in the FRS if you so desire, and I am obligated to let you know that. You don't make a whole lot of money, I'm not gonna offer much commentary.
That's exactly what I did.
I'm sitting here thinking, what?
You know, so that is a decision, you just talk amongst yourselves and tell me if y'all wanna be in the FRS or not.
So do we have to all vote together on
Or
this?
did we just tell you?
Or do we just tell you individually?
Yes, you have to.
Can we retro back acted
Oh, we have to vote.
1995?
Oh, well, what if everybody has individual interest or whatever?
I'll go with whatever you guys want to do. I don't care. Whatever you want.
I personally do not want to be part of it,
Fine with me.
but I don't know about anybody else.
I'm retiring anyhow, I don't have any retirement, so.
Okay, let's try to bring back. So you have an ordinance that's in your agenda packet.
Yes.
We need to have the very short title, but we need to read the title of the ordinance,
Okay, let me find it again.
which is ordinance 2024-608. So if there's a motion to read by title in a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Ordinance 2024-608, an ordinance relating to membership in the Florida retirement system. So the first thing we'll do is, these are public hearings for adoption, so we have to open a public hearing, close the public hearing, have a discussion amongst yourselves, and then as you vote, you're voting for the entire city. For all employees. For employees.
Oh. That wasn't in my notes, that's why I'm confused. Sorry.
I'm a little confused, honestly. I thought you guys could vote to put your employees, the 12 of us that work here, under the FRS and exclude yourselves as city council members from that. Is that not true?
I didn't think that was true, but, because whatever plan you have, you normally adopt for all employees of the city. I haven't seen a government that has multiple plans for retirement.
Right now, we have a plan that says full-time city employees can invest through a company called Mission Square, and that the city council will match 5%. So if I put 5% of my check in it, the city council would match that 5%. So right now, we only have 2 members, 2 of the longer-serving public works guys are in it. So I guess at this point, I would ask that you adopt the ordinance, and I'll get with the FRS people and see if you guys can be bifurcated. If not, you'll have a very proportional retirement in the FRS.
Well, I would imagine, so if we adopt it for the city, right, that anyone is eligible for it, that you as an individual can opt out of
Yeah,
it.
you can, because if you don't put as I'm saying this out loud, if you don't opt to put 3% in it,
Yeah,
then you're not in it.
okay. Okay, so can I get a motion that we adopt the FRS program for our city staff?
I think what you're saying is adopt ordinance
Ordinance, I don't have it.
2024-608.
Right, I'm sorry, I don't have it from me. Ordinance 2024-608.
Did we open public comment?
Did you read that by title only?
Yes.
Okay, so we already did that, I guess.
Yes. Do we have any public comments?
So, it does say, section 1, it is hereby declared to be the policy and purpose of the city of Keystone Heights that all its general employees, except those excluded by law. Who are those?
For example, if you had somebody that had already retired
Okay.
from another FRS system, you're not permitted to re-engage. Once you're deemed retired, you're done from FRS. You can't re-engage, so they'd be considered an excluded person.
Does this mean that, I'll take Kenny, for example, who's been with us for almost 20 years. If we adopt this, is he going to have to take every single thing he has and move it into FRS?
No, sir. We've had a very specific discussion about him with the FRS and with Kenny. So he has projected 10, 11 months left,
Right.
and he's staying in the Mission Square retirement system I mentioned that he's already in.
Okay, so this statement here that says all eligible general employees shall be compulsory members of the FRS. How do we exclude him if this says he has to do it?
We've had those discussions with the FRS, so I'm by no means an expert at it. We've done everything we can up to this point. The next thing the FRS needs from us is this ordinance adopted, and I'll fine tune it as I go, as I do so many other things I'm doing for the first time. But
Okay, I would feel far more comfortable if we put, for example, all eligible new general employees and existing ones who choose to shall be members of the Florida retirement system. But I'm concerned about the legality of making all employees compulsory members right now. They all have to do it.
So if you move into the FRS, us or any other entity, then the people that are currently not vested in the system that we have, anybody that you've hired this year, which is about half a dozen people, or anybody that's in public works, say, that hasn't done it before, hasn't been in the old system, will become compulsory members. The people that I understand that cannot are our retiring public works director, and I'm under the understanding that you as the 5 elected officials can be removed from that equation. I could be remiss in that, and I'll seek further clarification on that.
So I'm also confused because in the state school system, we have a choice. All teachers statewide have a choice. We can be in the FRS, or we can go with the matching investment in like a 401k plan. We don't have to be in the FRS, so I'm curious.
Right, so once you go in the FRS, there's 2 ways to do it. You can be in the pension plan, or you can be in the investment plan, I think is what you're referring to.
Oh.
But you're all already in the FRS. Putnam County School Board employees are in it. You can just opt from one to the other.
Is the part-time employees eligible?
Yes,
Part-time employees can join FRS.
yes.
It's usually if you're OPS, you can't.
So I'll just give you, for instance, all the school bus drivers in every county school district in Florida work 4 or 5 hours a day, and they're all in the FRS.
Okay.
Well, if we can opt out, can't they opt out? Or do they have to go under a retirement system? I would think that they would be able to have that choice.
I think if they, I don't know, I just have to get more clarification on that.
Okay.
So would our employees also have 2 options?
Yeah, they could go into the pension plan or the
Oh.
401k type plan. I think it might be.
See, they didn't have any option before.
No, when I
So
started
you brought
teaching
this-
in the 90s, it was a pension plan.
Yes, exactly.
The only catch with FRS is if you make the change, you're only allowed to make it once.
Yeah, you can swap between the pension and the 401k.
They don't have an open season
No, it's
or anything, you do it one time.
And really, this was a
Election.
means to
You can
provide
elect to
our
switch
staff with
one.
additional benefits, is why it was pursued.
So they already have a really good benefit as far as retirement is concerned. I think what this is more about is our ability to get people from, like our city clerk, from Alachua or from some other government agency, and from them to build on the FRS they've already had. I think that's really the benefit here. Because we are just really generous in our retirement benefits.
Any more comments?
I got one, Mayor.
Sure.
I've talked to the city clerk about this a couple times and with our city manager, but it sounds like we, as a council, have questions, and we're going to adopt an ordinance with all this, I don't want to say mud, but there's some things that we need to clarify. Can we table this to a later meeting? And then those questions, we get everything from them that
Clarification.
sort of, And then we come back with the ordinance and vote on it? I mean,
So the ordinance itself, I think the answer is yes, you can. You can, unless the attorney disagrees, I think you can table that or anything else. The ordinance itself is boilerplate language provided for us by the FRS. I mean, it's kind of like dealing with the FAA at the airport. Florida retirement system is a huge system.
Right.
We're a little city, so if we choose to participate, we're acknowledging we're going to participate on their rules. And, you know, I'll freely admit I'm not an expert about getting into it. But if you pass the ordinance, I could continue to work through those details and bring you back your answers, or you could table passing the ordinance.
Well,
And
may not
maybe I
want
could
to table. So
okay.
the words you choose are important. If you table it, it means that the city's going to have to re-advertise the final adoption of the ordinance. If you move to defer to a date and time certain, like pick a meeting, then at least that's enough notice to the public so you don't have to re-advertise the ordinance, which I presume you do.
Yes.
I could do that.
So which meeting, how much time do you think you need to get them answers?
Could we defer? And let me just put her on the spot for a second. Knows a perfect answer. Have you heard any of these questions? And can you
I
answer?
heard some of
Come to
them,
the
yes.
mic.
Cool, that's easy.
Sorry. But
I was listening in transit back here.
So one of the questions was, once you enter the FRS, you enter the FRS. You cannot get out of the FRS. That's one thing the council needs to know. The retirement for Kenny Hall, he is vested in that company. He and also Matt Cole, and we haven't even talked about the buyback or any of that yet, correct?
correct.
So I don't know, I was listening and I was like, that's a very good question about Kenny. Will he have to be in the FRS, and then will we suspend him, the contributions that you guys are doing to the Mission Square? And that being said, he would get the investment in the FRS, and then later he could switch over, he could do like the investment plan with FRS and have two investments. It's a possibility. I don't have a definitive answer on that, but you are correct, and it is everyone, it's compulsory, and then it's every employee from here on out. Does that answer your question, what you guys were asking?
Including council?
No, council is a whole nother ordinance. This ordinance is only for that. I assumed, because of prior conversations, it would be a whole nother ordinance that you would pass for yourselves. I kind of thought that y'all were talking about that when I first tuned in. So it's a whole nother ordinance, and it would for that. And I have access to that. I could have that for you guys tomorrow.
What is the general consensus of the city staff that would be compulsory
What do you mean?
covered? Was there a meeting? How did they feel about this?
I've talked with all of them about it. They're excited about it. Kenny wanted to take everything he has invested in the 401k and put it in the
buy back.
FRS and buy it back. That's just not allowed.
It's not allowed because you guys were giving a percentage to that, and so you would not be buying back his because you've already given him a percentage, and then he would not be able to buy back time because he's already given a percentage to that. So if he went into the FRS, and I will check into that, if he has to compulsorily go into the FRS for 11 months, he could do the investment plan, and then later after he retires can consolidate or keep them separate, whatever he wanted to do. But that's higher than my knowledge because I've just been doing the groundwork, but that's what I know. And the Florida retirement system, I do have a packet that I could give you guys if y'all do want to, whatever the word you used, to for this for a little bit. There's a whole joining packet that I could get a copy for each of you if you wanted that. I could send it digitally or printed.
I mean, they just have two plans. They have a defined benefit plan and a defined
Right.
contribution plan.
Right.
You can
And they have
pick
for
one
elected and
switch.
general. And staff is general, and you guys are elected. If you chose to do the elected, then it would be a whole nother ordinance to be passed. And then that would be, and then you would still have the same situation. You either start it from the time, and you go forward, and there's no buyback from the city, or there's buyback possibilities, either for yourselves or for the entity. But there's no requirement for that. You can just take it and move forward.
So when they vote tonight, they're not voting to
No.
put themselves in, they're just putting the.
Not tonight,
employees
tonight it's just
of
for
the
this.
city.
Per other conversations, we always were talking just the staff, but I could get that ordinance ready to go and work with the city clerk.
So the key verbiage that I heard was, we are not general employees, we are elected employees.
You're elected officials, yes.
And that is why this does not apply to us.
No, yes,
I
exactly.
didn't think that it did, but I didn't.
Right, and so there was.
That's the word difference there.
Right,
Elected
and
employees versus
originally,
general employees.
I had
Councilman,
given.
You would be in a different situation with the school, if your school participates in FRS, because you can't be in FRS in both places. I run into that with one.
Oh.
Right, and that's one thing I was gonna state, is that
Oh,
for you and anybody else that has retired from FRS, which I heard you mention, if you've retired from with FRS, you cannot join back in.
There's many rules that go
Yes.
with FRS, and I used to counsel people on this.
I'm glad you said that.
One of the advantages of being elected is instead of accruing at the 1.6% that employees accrue at, you would accrue at 3% as an elected official. The problem is your salary here is different than what your salary is there. So I would suggest that they have a telephone number you can call, ask questions if duly elected to become part of the FRS, and talk to them about those things. But if you want to, you can either approve the ordinance tonight, you can deny the ordinance tonight, or you can move to defer. Wait for whatever answers you're looking for.
So is this the second and final reading for final approval, or is this the first reading?
We had a first, I apologize, Council, we had a first reading on 8/8. This was going to be the second reading, but I messed up the timelines as your clerk, so the second reading will actually be on 9/9.
Okay, then we don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Are
It's
there
gonna-
questions left hanging out there? You're not coming in as a city council by adopting this ordinance. I'll fine tune on Mr. Hall.
Right. Are you guys also wanting to have the ordinance for elected officials as well?
I disagree with that.
No,
I'm
not
sorry.
me.
I've been doing this for 30 years. I disagree.
You disagree for what? I don't need it now.
I don't need, but you guys.
I don't care to.
I don't, I
We
feel
don't-
like
we
the
don't take this
paperwork
position.
I don't
will
make
be
enough money
nominal
for them to
for
do
what
that.
you're getting for it. You see what I'm saying? The
Yes.
paperwork would outweigh the nominal benefit.
Council does not wish for Ms. Trudell to develop an ordinance to adopt the rest of FRS.
Well, I just wouldn't print it. It's not that fancy.
5% of $400 is 20 bucks.
Exactly. I'd really give that back to, yeah, yeah.
It's gonna cost your fiscal clerk more to process it than it would cost for you to get it, so.
Almost get
Right, but because you accrued the 3%.
All right.
it wouldn't
Are
be
we done?
$5.
Okay, we'll do 5%.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Drew.
yes. Oh, Drew, when you check, can you just see if there's a minimum period of time that a person has to work in
Yes,
the FRS system
There
in
is.
order to get the benefits?
yes,
Yes.
there is. So
You have to be 8 years.
Yeah, so Kenny can outvest.
it depends on which system you're on. So if you're in defined benefit, people call it the pension plan. The defined benefit you have to vest. It takes less 6, I think it's 8 years now to vest. If you're in defined contribution, that's what people call 401k style plan. If you're in that, you vest after 1 year.
Okay, so
That becomes portable, but the term portability under FRS is tricky. So I vested when I was a prosecutor under the 401k style plan, the defined contribution plan. I went, because I joined our law firm and asked to transfer my account. They said, by transferring you will be retired. So I don't have any plans to, but one day later in life, if I wanted to be a judge, I would be excluded from re-participating in the plan.
Okay, and the reason I ask is if Kenny wants to retire in 10 to 11 months, but he has to do a year in order to be vested, he needs to know that.
I agree.
Well, I'll drill down a little bit more with him and the FRS.
Right, so that's why I asked that detailed question about how long do you need to be in the plan before you can gain the
Depends on
benefits.
which option you choose.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other question out there pertaining to FRS other than with Mr. Hall?
You all good?
We beat all the horses.
So
dead.
where are we? Can we vote on that? Or not?
No,
Or
it's
it's just
not-
gonna,
It's not advertised for today's,
okay,
for today's meeting, so we'll have to have a public hearing on 9/9.
all right. So we go back to the next item. Florida
I
Retirement
think
System.
you kind of answered that already.
Well, the next thing was the system buyback option.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at C, council member participation.
Right. And we already talked about that.
Yeah.
So you want to talk up to this,
Yes,
Charlie?
ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So what you have in front of you is one of those things that I, as city manager, as we're going into the FRS, need to make you aware of. About half of your city employees have been hired in the year 2024. So for every current city employee, to include the guys in Public Works, if you chose to contribute $36,108.22, that would basically put everybody that's been hired in the FRS on their hire date and catch the Public Works employees that have been here longer up through January 1st, 2024. This is all calendar year, not in your budget year. If you go back one more year, it's 51,296.04. That would pretty much affect only the people that don't work in this building that are eligible for FRS. So it steps back. If you said buy it all back for everybody that still works here that has any eligibility from their start date, it'd be $201,882.71. You're not obligated to buy back anything, but I'm obligated as your city manager to make you aware of the various options, and we would basically buy it back one calendar year at a time at your direction if you so choose. And that decision has to be made, whether to do it or not do it, because everybody that has previous time in the system then would have the option, if you don't buy it back, to go back and buy their own for each eligible month that they've been an employee of the municipality and eligible for the FRS. Does that make sense?
Thank you for explaining that.
You're very welcome.
Can I get a motion to approve the buyback number for $36,108.22 for this year?
We already give them plenty of benefits. We give them lots of retirement options. This is like paying them twice toward retirement. I don't see why we should do it.
Okay. What do y'all have to say?
What did you say, Dan? You don't see why we should do it?
Why we should pay them twice
Oh.
toward retirement. We've already given them retirement benefits. They got it already.
So this
Why-
is,
why are we
this
gonna
is
double it up?
benefit, this is benefit from January to now.
Mhm.
It's not from now to the rest of the year,
No,
correct?
right.
So they weren't being paid that benefit from January to now.
No, they still get their retirement benefits per the system we've had for years. They get a matching amount.
Only if you opt in.
Right, yeah, it's
Only if
versus
they want-
choice. Yeah, they gotta decide, yes, I'm gonna put so much in or not, and then I'll get the matching amount. And it's really very generous compared to the companies out there.
Is that the Mission company that Kenny is
Yeah,
under?
Mission Square.
Currently?
Mission Square.
Mission
So-
Square, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So your current city retirement program is done through Mission Square,
Okay,
and your full-time employees have the option to put 5% of their salary in that, or their paycheck, and then the city match 5%. I knew the day I started, after watching the clerk's round of interviews, that nobody had really attempted to put the city in the FRS. It was kind of, that question was asked by Ms. Silva when she interviewed. It was kind of a quick end around. So I personally will go back and buy back my 7 months, but it won't be a double payment because the only two gentlemen that have been participating in it, they can't get in the FRS for the time they've participated in Mission Square. I've cost you straight salary and have not used that retirement option because I didn't need to be in that system. That didn't wasn't gonna help me much, and I wasn't gonna put in 6 or 7 months worth if we had an opportunity to get in FRS. That would have made getting good applicants for the other positions much quicker. So that is a huge benefit if we're in it. But you're not, I just don't want you to think you're double paying anybody. Nobody can be double paid. The retirement contribution that the city would make if the city votes on the 9th to go into FRS.
Well, especially if they've already, if only, you said only 2 people opted in for the Mission Square, right?
Yes,
Retirement
those gentlemen
system?
have been in it for
And
several years.
they give 5%, the city matches it.
Correct.
So how do you figure, Dan, that they're gonna get double paid?
Okay, so everyone has the
Just curious.
choice. Say, let's make the math easy.
Okay.
If you make $100,000, which nobody does at the city, but let's just make the math easy, all right? And you contribute 5% of your salary, 5,000 of that 100,000. The city will match it with 5,000. So that year you have $10,000 saved for retirement, okay? So your pay really is not 100,000, it's 105,000, because the city just gave you 5,000 towards retirement. And so, and you can take that at whatever level. So if people did not choose to contribute, which befuddles me, that's free money that they're choosing not to take. I always took it whenever I had the chance, the maximum amount. But they would be getting that, and then we'd be putting them in the FRS and backdating it to the first of the year. That would be a second time we'd be giving them money for retirement, beyond the 5% match. So that's why we'd be paying them twice. Because now they have money in their Mission Square account that we gave them, and they have extra benefit of the FRS going back to the first of the year. Money, $36,000 that we paid for. So we paid them twice. Now, if they chose not to contribute to Mission Square, that's a different story. But yeah, that's what we have in place, and that's what we've had for years.
I'd like to make the motion to go ahead and do the buyback.
Okay,
For
so the question is,
2024.
just for 2024? See, they've given us numbers going back 4 years, if we want to add up all those numbers.
My one question is, 2024, for the $36,108.22, how many employees is that? Am I not hearing? I mean,
That affects everybody, with the caveat I need to do more checking on Mr. Hall. For instance, Mr. Cole, who has been contributing to Mission Square for 3 or so years since he's been a full-time city employee, he can't buy back, you can't buy back for him the time that he's participated in Mission Square because he's already vested. However, he just particularly happens to have worked for St. John's River Water Management District and has 27 years in the FRS. So he coming back into it would be great for him. I have 19-ish years minus some deployments, I'm not really sure, but somewhere around there. So really we just have to decide. I think the vice mayor's made a motion to do 2024 for $36,108.22. Is that correct?
That's
So
what
you
I
just-
said. That's what I said.
Yes, ma'am. So if that gets a second and passes, that gives the city employees the the next steps. And if it fails, then we report that to the FRS. There's no buyback, and then every man for himself for time he had in the system.
Can I get a second?
I'm going to second it for some more discussion, because I do have a question. Okay, the employees that were hired January 1, or on staff January 1, and I'm going to use names because that's the only way we're small, Drew and Bo, were they full-time employees at that time? Are they included in the 2024?
Yes, sir, because you got to remember, you're full-time and you're part-time. There may have been some weeks early on where they didn't log 40 hours a week.
Right.
But this also covers your part-time public works guys, which work an average of about 35 hours a week. There's 3 of them that work 5 days a week and 3 of them work 4 days a week on
Right.
different days. So this goes back, if you do it for 2024, and covers everybody from January 1st that's drawn a city paycheck at any time in the year of 2024.
But you're saying you would not include Kenny?
I have to do some more research on Kenny. If he doesn't have enough time to vest, which I think is probably going to be the case if he wants to go July 9th, which he's told me numerous times, then he probably just needs to stick with Mission Square. But what I'm sure about is the time he's been vested in Mission Square, you can't go back and buy that time for him into FRS. He can't be vested in 2 systems with 2 contributions at once. So there is no way, if this gives you any assurance, for you to double pay. Yeah, I'm a big boy. I didn't go into it because I didn't want to go into that. I can go back and buy that time individually if this motion fails. But that $36,000 covers everybody that has had a job here January 1 forward, except for Mr. Hall, which I got this for.
And maybe one other person? Matt?
Yeah, so he's been contributing all this time too. But I know he wants to switch in and he's got the time to do it. I don't, because he's already invested. Kenny's kind of the outlier.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'll clarify one more time. He said it all clearly, but I think I see your train of thought. Matt Cole and Kenny Hall are the only ones that have paid into Mission Square, and you guys have matched. Because you matched for the period of time they are vested, they cannot be a part of any of the buyback conversation that you guys are having right now. Anybody else, and to clarify, the rate in which individuals buy into, or it has fluctuates because it's determined by the state. The percentage of 5% going in that you had to do for Mission Square, not everybody chose to do that because not everybody can afford to do 5%. This is a different percentage, and there's a different, it's not match 5 for 5, which is great if you have it, but it's a different system altogether. And like I said, I can give you a copy of all of that paperwork if you need to see it later.
Okay, so for Madam Vice Mayor, with this clarification, then I do not believe we are paying them twice. And for whatever reason, they just chose not to contribute the money and not to take advantage of the benefit. And so if we do this buyback, we would not be paying anyone twice for retirement. Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
I'll call the vote.
All right,
Did you get a second?
Yes. Second.
Tony gave us a second. So can we have a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Council comments.
I don't have any.
Well,
Stevie?
I was at the visual last night. Press, everybody showed up. And a lot of us were there too. I just like the teamwork and see the community around here that came together.
Chris?
I do have something to say.
Yeah.
And first of all, I would like to call for a workshop. I'd like to call for a workshop to discuss the job descriptions for the city clerk and the city manager. That is something we have never done. And it was discussed back in May. We talked about it. We've talked about it a lot. But we've never scheduled a workshop to clearly define the PDs for the city manager and the city clerk.
So, we do have job descriptions for each that were based on the search from last year that definitely need to be changed to the current roles that they are in, to align with what the current responsibilities are. So I don't see, and this is some things that I've talked with Charlie about, looking at all job descriptions in the city hall. because I think we need to have a full-blown HR department for every single job in here, job description and
I'm
details.
glad you brought that up,
Yes.
Mayor, because I heard at the last meeting that we had just this month, that, or last month, I'm sorry, we're in September now, on the 22nd, that Charlie had HR, and if you recall, I said something about it. Do you remember that, Charlie? I didn't know. I had no idea that he had HR. We had not had our workshop to get
It's-
this clear.
It's in your job description.
Well, it's in both the city clerk's and the city manager's current job description.
So what I remember you saying, the way I interpreted it was, do I have a HR background? Yes, I do.
Right, I said, do you know HR?
Yes, ma'am. And so that is one of the overlapping elements between the city
Yes.
manager and city clerk job description.
And that's what needs to be clarified,
You're right.
because how can you evaluate anybody without a clear PD?
That's correct.
And so we've been talking about a workshop a couple times, and we've never had one.
And I think it's also important that along with that, we marry that up to the PAs that are going to be done with Stephanie and with Charlie coming up in January, with Stephanie's also. Matter of fact, the PA I created, I did pull out the HR portion because she's not involved in HR. When I was looking at the last thing we looked at a month ago. But yeah, I agree. I think we have to look at that because you can't get graded on a role that you're not supporting.
Exactly.
So
It's not fair.
No, it's not fair. It's not fair to either one of them.
Right,
So
exactly.
So I think that we do need to do that. Back then, we had what we had, and that's what we used, and I think it's time that we do refresh all of that.
Well, let's set up a
Documentation.
workshop then.
Okay, so can we get back with you guys and kind of go through dates?
Sure.
But that we have a workshop date thing, and it's probably the one piece of paper. I don't have.
I had it, and I looked at it before I left the house, and it's not on there.
We're
But that-
just saying some dates that.
Yes.
Dates that we have available for.
Exactly, for the upcoming year, yes.
Yeah. So what we'll do is follow up with some dates that we can look at and just email them to us, and then we agree on what a date comes
Great.
up, right? And we want to do it,
Great.
I think, before November, or by November, because yours is coming up and yours is coming up right after.
The sooner the
The
better.
sooner the better.
Would council prefer to do this after budget, or would you guys want me to?
After budget, after budget.
I just wanted to know what council preference was.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Dan, any comments?
No, I mean, besides the fact that I still want a strategic plan, and I still want that workshop on the Christmas market, and there was at least one other thing I can remember, I just haven't gotten to those things. So I'm excited, I'm hopeful.
Kenyon.
I'd like to say that I was at the prayer visual last night. You have to say something about this community. I think Charlie and I have been to three of these over the years that we've lost some teenagers in this community, and you have to give it to the community, the teachers that have to go in like they did this morning and just be a shoulder, you know, for these kids. Times have changed since we were in high school, and I lost a good friend in my senior year in a car accident, and we didn't have this like they have it today. And I applaud, if that's a word I would use for this community, that they pull together no matter what. And it's just, and I know over the years there's been other communities throughout the state, throughout this nation, that have pulled together when tragedy happens. This past week was just devastating, of all the tragedy that we had here in this community with just our teenagers. So I applaud the churches, the teachers, and everybody that was there last night for these young people, because it takes a while to get over it. And if you ever do get over it, that's just it. So we live in a great community of people, and we might disagree once in a while, but when something like this happens, everybody comes together. And it's Keystone. Thank you.
And yeah, I want to echo too, the sadness. I was there yesterday, and it's really a proud moment to be there and watch the community come together. All those young children, kids, I call them children, but teenagers, there holding hands, hugging each other, thinking about their friends who've had some tragedy, especially with Ryder and his accident, which he's still hanging on, and hopefully he's going to do well. These types of injuries, you never know, but hoping that he's going to pull through. And with Bryce and the injury, we were there at the game the other night when he was injured during the play at football. Sounds like he's going to have some surgeries. But especially for Aiden Graff's family, and I understand they'd also lost another child a couple of years ago. So sad for their family. But it's really an amazing thing to see the community come together and really support them. So certainly a very proud moment for us. And it made it made the news locally, which is pretty special too. But thanks again, guys. So next, Charlie, did you have some comments?
I think city clerk's next.
I'm sorry. Steph?
Mine are super brief. I went to a code enforcement level 1 last week. I'm fairly certain that I passed. Mr. Commando, our attorney, swore me in today, so I'm officially Officer Silva. I'm sworn in as your code enforcement, and I have the highest level of code enforcement in your city.
So
Bam. Yes. No, I don't plan on making a badge, but my ask is, since I am the only level 2, we have nobody that has level 3 and 4. Is it the council's wishes that you want me to excel and just complete all 4 levels of this so we have somebody within the city who has that, or would you prefer it be Matt Cole, who is your level 1 certified code enforcement officer?
Matt's the one that goes out and pays a visit. I think that he needs to have the opportunity to get some education.
I agree.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
give him that opportunity.
I don't know what the levels are or anything. but-
I spoke with Matt Cole this morning, and he has only had level 1. Now, this is something he could take level 2 with his administrative aspects of code enforcement, and then we could possibly take level 3 and 4 together to be a support system for one another. But this all is council's direction, all on you guys. If you guys want him to go full on for 4 levels of certification and me to sit back, I respect that, and I will do that. I just want to know what council would like to see in the city.
Have we had complaints from the citizens about codes not being enforced?
No, sir. Not that I'm aware of.
So in other words, what we have is sufficient right now?
I believe it is.
Oh, okay, so we haven't started bringing people to hearings.
Because we haven't had it.
So, because we haven't had someone who's certified. So when you start bringing people to hearings, that's when you start getting the pushback on code enforcement. So the answer to your question is correct, that we haven't had it yet, but you can expect it coming.
Currently, our city doesn't really have a plan on how you want to enforce those codes. So you're leaning on me to develop an entire program
Well,
of how to do this, if the city wants to do this.
So the way the city's been run for years is that unless someone complains,
Right.
Correct.
we don't
still
really
that
do
way.
anything.
Yeah, we're
Still that way,
as we
written
are, too.
written complaint. Right.
We are considered reactive code enforcement, not proactive.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And so, I would say if there's a perceived need for it, then yeah, go for it. But I don't see the need. I don't know.
This is, again, it's not a me decision, it's completely on council. I can't offer anything.
So,
No, I appreciate that.
Well, I think continuing education for Matt and for you, I mean, if somebody's gone, if somebody gets injured or is sick out for an extended amount of time, somebody's got to cover that.
Well,
It's
that's
always
true.
good to have a backup.
Right, so could I suggest that we come to you before the end of the calendar year with a recommendation?
Yes.
And
Okay.
That's
there's
a
so
good
many
idea.
fires that are close to burning us every day.
Yeah.
I just haven't got the range out on code enforcement.
Right. And I feel like Miss Silva has already worked so hard. I put something else on her.
It's in my contract You guys just didn't state how many levels you wanted me to take.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've completed what we required. Now, do we go any further?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So for clarification, reactive versus proactive?
Yes.
So proactive would be a written complaint?
No.
Or
Well, we go out and look
So
for it.
proactive is when somebody drives around, it's referred to as HOA code enforcement. Somebody drives around and looks for violations and starts writing up people.
Okay.
Most local governments do not follow that model,
Mhm.
in part because most of your citizens didn't want to live in an HOA, which is why they don't want their government coming out.
Right.
So we generally subscribe to the reactive enforcement, meaning what Councilman Lewandowski said. If somebody makes a complaint, we investigate the complaint to determine if there's a violation. If there's a violation, we give them time to cure. If it's not cured, we bring them before the magistrate. Magistrate generally also gives them time to cure and potentially levies a fine. The fine can be recorded. I mean, and that's our process.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Silva.
I'll put this on the 9/9, it's on the 9/9 agenda.
No, by the end of the calendar year.
In a calendar year, okay, sorry. I didn't hear that part.
Conversations with you and Matt.
In the calendar year.
What we're doing. I don't want to be the
And I apologize.
HOA.
I apologize for
Nobody
putting.
I'm
needs to
not
be an
asking anybody to make her a badge and a gun and a billy
No,
club.
please don't. And I apologize for putting that on council, but with these classes, so level 3, they only offer 2 a year.
Yeah.
Level 4, 1.
Yeah.
So the further up you go, the harder it is. So that's why I'm bringing it to you guys now.
Okay. Thanks. Charlie?
The only thing I would say, I'm happy to treat people well and do the things that will keep the city out of any issues with human resources. It's kind of like everything else you get with me in government. I've done stuff where I've had hallways full of different departments of people bringing me recommendations. I've never been the HR clerk and the HR director and every position in between. So that, like everything else I'm doing, that's just going to take me some iterations to get better at for you if you leave it in my job description and take it out of hers. If you throw it in hers, take it out of mine, I can't fight that either.
Well, it currently is in hers.
Well, right, it's a
So
duplicative thing.
that's the reason why I was called in one shot, because we need to get that, we need to get things straight.
And that's all.
That's all.
Didn't you want to tell them about the CRA meeting at the next meeting?
Yes, thank you. So, we also need to have a CRA meeting and develop a CRA budget. And I think I'm going to suggest we defer that till September. Is that one reading or two?
No, they just have to approve a budget before you approve the final budget. Because the CRA budget, just like the airport budget, becomes part of the city's budget.
Okay, so I will have you a CRA budget at 5:30. I'll bring it to you before 5:30 on the 16th, but if you would just put on your calendars when you come back to do the final budget adoption on Monday, September 16th, almost 2 weeks from now. We'll have a CRA meeting prior to that, and I just need to dig into the CRA more and understand the rules a little bit better. So the $30,000 that I put in tonight was after a consultation with council. We have 3 years to expend CRA funds once they've been brought in, and they get replenished every year too. So I'm going to be 30,000 plus or minus on disposing of the restaurant that you own at the end of the street. And if we further develop streetscapes and some other plans with actionable drawings this year, beyond the renderings we have in the conference room that are really nice looking, then that could also be out of CRA funds. If I need to do some research and figure out the money that's in there, the $230,000 listed in your account, how that came in and how long some of those funds have been there. So just more homework at every level.
Okay.
The 16th is our next meeting, right?
The 9th, next Monday, is your regular meeting that would have happened yesterday, but for Labor Day. And I'm trying to keep the money and the budget hearings separate, and they have to be spaced apart. Tried to put the second reading on the 9th, it was enough days from today to do that.
So we'll see you guys next Monday.
Next Monday.
I mean, you could, Charlie may kill me for this, you could move the 9th information to the 16th. You just can't do it backwards.
Or one really long meeting on the 16th. That's what you're
Depends on what's on the 9th, I don't know.
Quite a bit. I'll go print all the.
Well, no, it's okay, I'm just, that's,
Okay.
just talking process.
That's fine.
I think it'd be better to keep it separate, I think. It's okay with me if it's okay with y'all.
I like you guys.
We like seeing each other, right?
Yeah.
Anything else? 7:36. Meeting adjourned.